What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm also going to break down what's happening with the economic calendar as we have more data coming out. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, now let's talk about the charts. So I just wanted to say that right now, SPY, Tesla, and many tickers are testing critical supports. We'll be watching to see if these hold at least throughout the day. So I do look for a small rebound upon open, a little push, and then we'll be coming back down to these supports to see if they hold. If we lose this support on SPY, on Tesla, on the QQQ, and the others, then the market could dump even more, but we're watching to see if the support holds. It's very critical. So what's happening for today? The answer is, I just want to say there are a lot of pieces of data that are coming out. We have initial jobless claims and jobless claims for the 4-week average. Everything's very close to expectations, not too bad. And that's why the market is holding up quite well, at least to start things off. However, just know that later on today, we have the FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is important because the FOMC minutes is not necessarily FOMC, but it's just a report about FOMC. So what's going to happen is this report's going to come out. And it's going to give us more insights about the Fed's policies and what different Fed officials have to say about our economy, and future monetary policy. So watch for that at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when that comes out. It's going to cause some volatility. Besides that, there's nothing too crazy coming out for the day. We just have Jeffries announcing earnings and nothing else. And then for news about the markets, we had tech selling off quite a bit yesterday and beyond. This is no surprise because of what was going on, at least with all these different pieces of news involving Nvda and Tesla. There is some news coming out involving Meta/Facebook that they're getting rid of their third-party fact-checking services. This is a big shift in the company's policies, so that's something worth noting. Besides that, I'm not seeing anything else that's too crazy, at least on the news that I'm going to be talking about. So that's pretty much it for now. But with that being said, let me just say that we're going to be focusing on the charts from this point on. So on SPY, as you can see, we still have this left shoulder, a head and a right shoulder, but we have not lost critical support around 580. We haven't really broken that structure yet for this right shoulder to really pan out and for this thing to start like dumping a lot lower. So for now, what's happening is we're riding the support right over here. We're seeing SPY bouncing off this, coming close to it, bouncing. But the more you test it, the weaker it's going to become. So don't forget about that, guys. It's something you want to be very careful about. Now, to start things off, because we dumped so much yesterday, you're going to be anticipating a small rebound attempt to get back up to about the 590 area. We need to get back up of 591.5 to turn back up for 593. So watch those levels of resistance. And if we get above 593, we could turn a little bit bullish here. But if we can't do that, if we come short of 591 and we reject, we're going to be riding this trend line of support. This is going to be at 587. So watch this trend line as our main support here. If this fails, okay, you're going to be looking for this to come down to about 585, around this range right here where the support is. And if that fails us, I think we have a lot of room to dump to about 580, followed by the 570s. It's going to be very weak if we lose 580, guys, so please keep that in mind. So those are going to be your key levels, but what do I think is going to happen? My prediction is what's going to happen is we may see a push upon open, but then we might be coming back down to test this trend line, and we'll have to see if we end up holding below it or not. If we reclaim it, that's going to be dependent on the FOMC minutes that come out. Even if we do dip a little bit below it, will we get bought back up to reclaim this, just like how it happened right over here? Or will we continue to reject? That's going to depend on FOMC minutes. I still think the market's looking heavy. There's no sign of a true reversal. Might be a small rebound, but then we might be coming back down to test this trend line, and we could even lose this if things don't go as planned. For others, we have ES, so there's a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder. Now, the right shoulder is technically on a downtrend as we're making lower highs here. We're looking for a retest of the 59.80 zone, so we might come very close to that on ES. But the problem is we have a tough resistance at our EMAs here. So we'll see if we try to push towards this resistance right over here. If we reclaim 6,000 flat, we're looking for 6,030 as our target. If we can't reclaim 6,000, if we come short, there's going to be a risk of us rejecting, coming back down towards this low here. So we'll be watching to see if that ends up being the move. I find this to be very, very probable. And if that fails us, we're looking for a bigger dip back down towards these lows. So I would say just keep those levels in mind, and we'll have to see how it goes from there. For Nvda, I'm expecting a retest of 142.7. If we break that, we're looking for 144. And if we lose 140, we're looking for a dip to about 137. So we're range bound right now on Nvda. During this pre-market session, it's been going back and forth between our EMAs. So it could go either way. I do like to say that typically Nvidia likes to push a little bit when we start off, and it might be coming back down like this. So this is like our range for now. If FOMC minutes cause a dump, expect Nvidia to come down to 138 or below. If we pump, you want to hold above 144 and 146. If 146 breaks, we could start pushing. To me, it looks like this may push a bit, then come back down to 140 and consolidate. Then we could be dumping back down to 137. So watch those very, very carefully. For Bitcoin, excuse me, for Bitcoin, we're technically on a downtrend. I think that this is going to continue to downtrend. It's not looking very good right now. Might retest 96,000. We need to get back above 98,000 to turn back up. Otherwise, it could just be a small push and a continuation lower towards 94,000. So just keep that in mind. For NQ, NQ has a very similar setup. We have this wick right over here that's forming. So that could lead to a bit of a shift here. There might be an attempt to retest this high up here towards 21,400 to 21,500 right over here. And we'll see if we get a rejection, start dipping lower or not. If we break resistance around 21,500, we could try to push for this trend line of resistance. But this is favoring a move like this instead, kind of like a push and a dip, a retest of these lows in this range. So we're kind of range bound right now. And then if FOMC minutes cause a dump, this is going to be dumping lower. If not, we could be trying to consolidate. So this is what I'm seeing for NQ. A little push and then a rejection as we're technically on a downtrend. Unless we break this resistance here to start pushing, this is still technically bearish. So keep that in mind. We need to break resistance to turn, otherwise we're still bearish. QQQ, same setup. We had a rejection, rejection over and over again. So we managed to hold the 512 area. I did say that's going to be tested in my video yesterday. That's going to be our main support at the 200 EMA. If 512 fails us, we're looking for essentially 509, and we have resistance around 518 to 520. I wouldn't be surprised if we try to see a push here to retest like 517 or so, and then we could be looking for rejection back down to 512 as we're technically on a downtrend. 512 has to hold, otherwise we could be dumping all the way down to like 507 all over again. This may depend on the FOMC minutes, so just keep that in mind. Just for a few more, we also happen to have others out there such as Aapl. So Apple's on the downtrend. We got to hold 241, might try to push a bit, but then if we lose 241, we're looking for 238 as our target as it looks a bit more bearish. For the Russell, we're on a downtrend. We could retest 223, and if we reject there, we could be coming back down to 220. So just be very careful with it. For coin, we have to try to hold this support right here at 257. If we don't hold this, we're going to be dumping down to fill this gap. We have gap support at 254, and eventually the gap fill around 248. Might push a bit for 264 before we start dipping to about the 250s. So just keep that in mind. For Amazon, we're looking for an attempt to get to 223 to 224. Might push a bit, then reject to start dipping for about 220. So keep that in mind. For Meta, we have a nice, this kind of looks like a cup and handle, if not a nice accumulation. This might try to push, so it's outperforming the market a little bit. Might be pushing for 620, if not 625. But then we could reject to start dipping back down to 612 if that fails us. For Microsoft, we're on a bit of a downtrend. We could be pushing for essentially 425. If we hit that, we could reject to start dipping back down to 422. So look for a small push on Microsoft for 425, and we'll see if it rejects. And for Google, we look a bit more bearish. We got to hold 193.5, otherwise this dumps to about 191. So keep those levels in mind. Still looks a bit more bearish to me. With that being said, the market's at critical support. SPY is, so is the QQQ, ES, and Tesla. We'll see if buyers defend them or not. Speaking of Tesla, just know that we're going to be watching this key support here. I may have skipped over this. We're looking to see if we could hold 388. If not, this could be dipping to about 385 and 380. If we break past 398, we're looking for 400 plus. I think that we're going to attempt to bounce to the high 390s, then we could reject it and continue to ride this trend line. If it fails, this will be dumping a lot more towards the 380s. So just keep that in mind. 380 could be coming if we end up losing the trend line. Anyways, that's it for my analysis. Thank you for listening. I'll be back in a couple of hours for another update. Thank you for bearing with me. Even though I am still a little bit sick, I'm still recovering and I'm doing a lot better than yesterday. So I thank you once again for listening, and peace out.